Hi, Paul Tchaikovsky here. I'm a managed OpenShift black belt at Red Hat. Today, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on installing OpenShift on Azure using the Azure RedHat OpenShift product. Azure RedHat OpenShift is a fully managed OpenShift that is operated jointly by Microsoft and Red Hat, but purchased through Azure just like you would any other cloud service. So without any further preamble, let's just get straight to it. I have here a quick start document, and we're going to go through this, and hopefully by the end of it, we will have a running OpenShift cluster. So the first thing we need, because we are getting this from Azure, is we need the Azure CLI. If you're on Mac, it's really simple. You're going to run brew install Azure CLI. I'm running this on Windows subsystem for Linux, Fedora 33. And so I get to run some Linuxy commands. So the first thing I need to do is import the Microsoft keys. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then I need the Microsoft Yum repository. We've done that, and install Azure CLI. All right, that is done. And now we need to make sure that we are logged in to the Azure CLI. So we run AZ login and it opens up a web browser. I simply authorize and then it finishes up and I am logged in. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I have enough quota so it doesn't fail creating later on. So I'm going to run this command. I'm going to make sure I have a bunch of total regional vCPUs in my US East. Oh, that's a long output. What are we looking for? Total regional vCPUs, 110. That should be plenty. So next, we need to make sure that we have the following resource provided registered. So we can go ahead and run this. And so that is the Red Hat OpenShift compute, storage, and authorization. Next, we need to let's go ahead and open this up in a browser, and it now has download pull secret or copy pull secret. So I'm going to go ahead and download it. And now that will be available in my downloads directory, which I will use in a little bit. So next we want to set some environment variables that we're going to use later. And we're also going to create an Azure resource group which it will install into, and it will also make sure we have an easy way to clean up later. Set these variables like so, and you'll notice that I am setting my location to East US, which was the same thing. I just made sure I had enough quota for. Resource group, I'm just calling it OpenShift, call it whatever you want. Make sure it's unique so that when you clean up later, you don't delete existing resources. We need to give our cluster a cluster name, super imaginative, calling it cluster, and then a path to our pull secret. So we can go ahead and set those. And I'll just pick a random one to make sure that I can see that it's set, and it looks to be set. So now we're going to go ahead and create that Azure resource group. Right, that is done. Now on to networking. So we need to create a virtual network and two empty subnets, one for the control plane of OpenShift and one for the machine pool, where your actual workloads will be deployed. So we go ahead and create the virtual network. Then we'll go ahead and create the subnet. And then we'll go ahead and create the second subnet. Now, the last thing we need to do for networking is we need to disable the private link service network policies, and that will allow the Red Hat and Azure SREs access to manage your cluster for when it's time to perform updates or perform troubleshooting, etc. So we'll go ahead and copy and paste that. Now with that in place, we can go ahead and create the cluster. And you can notice we're referencing the pull secret we downloaded here. as well as the networks that we just created. Now, as the documentation said, this will take between 30 and 45 minutes. You don't want to stare at this for 30 to 45 minutes, so I will pause and come back when it's complete. All right, and we appear to have successfully created the cluster. It does dump out the output in JSON, which is great if you're scripting. Maybe not as helpful if you are a regular human being. You can kind of see there's a URL to the API server, and there's a URL to the console profile. We've attempted to make it a little bit simpler. So if you run this command, we will get just the console itself. So if we can open that up here, like so. And this is your fairly standard OpenShift console. And we can get some credentials by running this command right here. It will create you a temporary admin account. What did I do wrong there? Oh, I see. I'll need to fix that right there. But we can just use it from here. So we come to here, put in the password and the username, admin. We won't save it. Here's our cluster. Real simple. Obviously, we could do a quick, let's make sure that things are working. We'll skip the tour. Let's create a project example. And then let's just go ahead and create from a code sample. Perl, maybe not. Let's go with Python. And then Python sample, there's the example Git repo. Go ahead and hit create. And so you can see this is this is the standard OpenShift console, if you haven't seen it before. So we just created this example app. We can see that it's running a build. It'll deploy it. It'll give us a working application, but that's not super exciting to watch. So let's just go ahead and move on. And then of course, you want to, at some point, delete your cluster. And so to do that, we simply say, hey, go ahead and delete my cluster like this. But I'm going to tack onto that, and it's going to take a while, so I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to tack onto it this command right here, which will, once it's successfully deleted the cluster, it will go ahead and also delete the resource group that the cluster is in. And that will take care of deleting the networks that I created as well, and get us back to a clean Azure account that's not going to give us a surprise bill in a couple of months' time. So that is it. It is exactly that simple to get a OpenShift cluster up and running on Azure. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.